Today we're going to be learning about section 3.6, which is on age structure diagrams. So the learning objective for today is that you're able to explain and read age structure diagrams. And we're going to be learning about population growth rates, how you can use these diagrams to learn about different countries' growth rates, and how we look at the different age ranges of its population to talk about predictions for what's going on with the growth of this country. So when we are looking at age structure diagrams, this is what they look like. And I'm going to walk you through kind of what each section means and how we can use it to make predictions. Now, one of the things that students will sometimes do, which I do not recommend at all, is to just memorize what different shapes mean. So like if it looks like this, it's declining. If it looks like this, it's expanding. However, you also need to be able to explain why it is expanding or why it is declining. And so make sure that you understand what these shapes mean, but that you're able to explain the why of how the different age populations are impacting this. So that's what we'll get into a little bit here on this slide. So when we are looking at age structure diagrams, we are looking at age cohorts. So this is going to be groups of similarly aged individuals. And if we look at this diagram here, we've got the blue represents pre-reproductive, so people who are age 0 to 14. The yellow represents reproductive age, which is age 15 to 44, and then the orange represents post-reproductive age, which is going to be like 45 and plus. Now, just be aware on this particular diagram, we're looking at blue, yellow, and orange, but different diagrams will have different colors. So just be aware that the three different colors represent those three different age groups. And as you can see on each side here, it's going to tell us of those age cohorts and those groups, how many are male and how many are female. So on the left-hand side here, we've got the males. On the right-hand side here, we've got the females. And these bars are going to represent the number of individuals in that cohort. And then the colors represent what each of the cohorts are, like whether they're pre-reproductive, reproductive, or post-reproductive. Now getting into the why of these. As you can see, these diagrams are labeled that this one is expanding rapidly, this one is expanding slowly, this one is stable, and this one is declining. So when we see a pyramid diagram here where we have a larger pre-reproductive cohort, that indicates that we currently have growth and there's going to be future growth in the population. So what that means is those who are at the reproductive age are having more offspring, and it is growing at a pretty, potentially a rapid or semi-rapid. But either way, we are having these offspring. There's more of them, and so it is growing the population. And in the future, we will see this population grow. Now, if we have where it's like roughly equal of the pre-reproductive age and the reproductive age, that means that we're having some slight growth, but it's stable. So this means that those who are reproducing are having enough kids to sort of replace them. So essentially, if you've got two parents and they have two kids, then that's going to be enough to continue growing at the rate we are, but we don't have extra offspring. It's just replacing the parents. Now, when we have the post-reproductive being the largest category, that means that our population is in decline. It means that overall our population is made up by older people who will slowly die off and no longer be part of this picture, but that we have less in the younger people. And so it's the older ones. So overall the population is going down because as we lose those older people, they are not being replaced as quickly with the younger population. So as we look at these diagrams, they do have general shapes to them. And again, we just went through some of the whys. So be aware of these shapes and what they represent, and know each of them, but you also are going to have to know the why behind it to explain it. So on the far left here, we have one where we have rapid growth. And again, that's because the pre-reproductive age is going to be having more individuals. So over time, we're having this growth that's going to continue going up. Some examples of countries we might see this in is like Guatemala or Saudi Arabia, and it's called an extreme pyramid shape. Now, the next one we have is a less extreme pyramid. So we're having growth still, but it's kind of slow. It's a little bit more stable, but it is still growing. It's just not growing at the rate that the extreme pyramid shape is growing. So an example would be the United States or Australia or China is what we're currently seeing in this less extreme pyramid shape. The next one is it's called a house because it kind of just looks like a house with a little roof on it. And this is where we're going to have a stable population, but there's little to no growth. It's basically just kind of at a standstill here. And the last one, where it doesn't have a cute name, but it's just very narrow at the base on the far right here, that's going to be where we see a declining population. And this tends to be in wealthier, more developed countries, such as like Germany or Italy or Bulgaria. And we're seeing declining because there are less kids than there are older people. So I'm going to give you a chance to practice reading some of these diagrams. So we've got 4 different countries here, and you can see we've got India, United States, Germany, and China. And when you look at these, we've got the dark green color represents the pre-reproductive, the green color represents reproductive, and then that lime green is going to be our post-reproductive age. We have males on one side, females on the other. The y-axis is going to be the age, and the x-axis is going to be the population in millions. Be aware, sometimes this is shown as a percentage, but for these particular ones, this axis is going to be the actual population size in millions. So what I want you to do is I want you to, in a second, pause this video, and in your head, I want you to come up with the highest to the lowest growth rate. Which of these are growing at a faster rate and which ones are at a slower rate? So pause your video for a second and figure out the answer before I give you the answer. Okay, I'm hoping that you paused it because I'm going to now reveal the answer. So if we're looking at these from highest to lowest, we have India has the highest growth rate, then the United States, then China, and Germany has the lowest growth rate. So the next thing I want you to do, which is going to be a little bit harder, and you might have to make your screen bigger to look at the zoom in pictures, but I want you to actually tell me the number of pre-reproductive individuals in each of these populations. So you will go and you will count up in the millions, count each of the bars for the male and the female to tell me the number of pre-reproductive individuals in each of these 4. So pause the video now so that you can do that before I give you the answer. Okay, hopefully you're coming back after pausing because this is the answer. In India, if you go and count it, all of these dark green bars up, it's going to add up to about 360 million pre-reproductive individuals. The US is going to have 62 million, Germany is going to have 11.5 million, and China is going to have 270 million. So for your practice FRQ 3.6, you will be practicing the skill of explaining patterns and trends in data to draw conclusions. So I want you to look at these age structure diagrams that you have right here, and I want you to identify the country with the slowest population growth rate and explain your answer. Explain why it has the slowest population growth rate. So that will be your FRQ practice for 3.6. Those were your 3.6 notes on age structure diagrams.